Welcome to the DSPN.
Team New Zealand's in trouble.
Oh, he's done it again, Ricky Herbert.
The Devlin Sports Podcast Network.
Righto, Sportos, here goes Marty, Devlin, Lachlan Waugh, the DSPN, talking all the day's big sporting issues. Before we do, a thank you. 2,000 YouTube subscribers hit over the weekend. That's in 4 weeks. That's magnificent. We're heading for 5,000 now. So if you like what you're looking at and like what you're listening to, then please do us a little favour. Come on, bring it. Like, share, follow, subscribe, tell all your friends about it. But most importantly, hit that subscribe button. Thoroughly appreciate it. Leave us a comment too. We'll try and get back to every single one of you. We'll try as best as we possibly can. On the show today, special guests include Hamish Kerr, the best high jumper on the planet, gold medal winner from the Paris Olympics, joining us in studio. Auckland FC. What an atmosphere that was at Go Media Mount Smart Stadium. Coach Steve Corica joins us, General Manager Terry McFlynn in the studio as well. Other topics to consider? Yes, we'll go Bows in reserve, of course. More on that in a second. India getting walloped by Australia. Chris Wood, Nottingham Forest, top Premier League goal scorer, F1. Jordie at Leinster. So much to talk about, but we begin the show the same way every single day, which is a sermon from the mountaintop.
We live in an amazing, amazing world, and it's wasted on the crappiest generation of just spoiled idiots.
Embarrassing. In a word, embarrassing. The Black Caps have been shellacked by England in what's been a pair of back-to-back defeats as bad as anything the team has ever suffered. And that's ever. I've been watching this team for 50 years, since the 1970s. That was pitiful. A loss by 323 runs inside 3 days. Our bowling is wasteful, our batting woeful. Goodbye any feel-good factor still lingering from that historic Indian series. This current lot are playing pathetic Test cricket.
3 big opinions.
Number one, the selection axe has to fall. It simply has to. This team feels like it's in a smug rut. There's no jeopardy. There's no accountability. There's no consequence for poor form. The selection policy under coach Gary Stead has remained idiotically stubborn for years. 3 players, Southey, Conway and Blundell, should have all been dropped before Wellington, yet all 3 played. All 3, are going to be named again to play in Hamilton. Number 2, our batting is just weak. It's ineffectual, impatient, weak. Blundell's meaningless thrash and bash ton aside, our batting the last 3.5 innings has been soft. Soft dismissals, soft attitude. Bowled out, get this, in 34.5 overs in the first innings at the Basin, 54.2 in the second. Do the maths. Couldn't even bat 90 overs across 2 innings. That is not Test cricket worthy. The decision-making is poor, the technique awful, the grit and guts. Well, where's that? Totally absent. Blundell's 115 off 102 was great for a giggle, but it's a Test match, mate. How about scoring 50 off 200 balls and taking the match to a 4th day? Batting like it's a Test, not a T20. They're serving you up pies so you can wog it and they can catch you. I mean, it might have saved some blushes if you'd managed to hang around a little longer, restored a modicum of dignity perhaps. We bat like we simply don't care about staying out there at the crease. It's shameful. And number 3. The series win in India was an outlier. Let's just make that loud and clear now. As remarkable and brilliant as it was, as history-making and emphatic as it was, it was also an outlier, a statistical anomaly. What we're seeing versus England is more like the real us, a team that most recently has mostly underperformed, like the 2 tests in Sri Lanka before we got to India. Like our shameful exit from the World T20 champs this year when we arrived late, couldn't be bothered having a warm-up. They were all on holiday before they arrived. Like Christchurch and now Wellington. Hyped up, talked up, puffed up, put on a pedestal and failing to deliver. The Indian series win was like Greece at the Euro football champs in 2004. Everything came together at the perfect time for the perfect result for them, just like it did for us in India. Well done. Can't take it away from us. It can happen, it did happen. But what happened before and after that is a much better indicator of where this team is truly at.
Devlin.
I got to say, Go Media Stadium Mount Smart on Saturday afternoon was as good as anything I've experienced in New Zealand sport. The atmosphere, amazing. Crowd were up for it. Great game of football. Beautiful day in Auckland. And it's a hell of a pleasure to welcome 2 of the key players from Auckland FC into the studio today. We've got our coach, Steve Corica, sitting here, and Terry McFlynn, who's the director of football. Thanks so much for coming in, lads.
Yeah,
thanks
great to be here.
Congratulations to start with. 6 out of 6. Look, if you wrote this down on a whiteboard at the very start of the season, you said, what are our goals to win the first 6 games? People probably would have said, yeah, sure, give us the goals again. But you've done it. You've won those games. It's a dream start. Would you call it that?
Definitely a dream start for us. We've said before, and we spoke about this, we want to be up near the top from the word go. So, that was our aim. The way it has panned out has been amazing. Obviously, 6 wins, almost 6 clean sheets as well. Almost.
I knew there would be a little rock under the beach towel.
Yeah, it's the boys have been doing amazing defensively, obviously, and to concede like that towards the end of the game, it's pretty unlucky for us. But we'll move on and we've refocused now and move on to the next game. But as far as I'm concerned, obviously, 6 wins, you can't ask for more from the players. They've put in a great effort, working hard. Working together as well, I think, is a real key for me as well. And we're playing some good football along the way.
So, if you had any concerns about the way that you're playing or what you would like to improve, I mean, it's hard to improve upon these results, but you more than anyone know, to win a championship, you've got to be playing like this and winning games at the end of the season. So, is there anything that you think, okay, I can tweak that? I'd like to see this different.
Yeah, there's still a lot that we can improve on. We're doing so well defensively, but there's still just little individual stuff that we can work on. Even structure-wise, defensively, sometimes we get caught out. So there's, we go through every week, we do a review and we work on, the things that we can improve on. With the ball, I think we can be a lot better. We can keep the ball a lot longer periods and dominate more of the games. We've been scoring goals, but we want to score more. We want to, sometimes win 3-4-0 if we can, and we want to, just focus on them areas as well.
So, being the director of football, define what that role exactly is, Terry.
That's a little bit of everything, to be honest. Obviously, when we started this with Nick Becker back in November 2023, and the primary role was to build a football department. So the first part of that was obviously bringing a coach, and Steve and myself have worked together for 15 years. Starting a club from zero in terms of football department, it's important that the coach and director of football is aligned in how the team plays and the type of players we want to bring in. So that was very clear from the start. We just built out the football department in terms of the assistant coaches, goalkeeper coaches, head of performance, physios, medical team, doctors, and then we started recruiting the players.
Do you get nervous at all thinking at some stage there is going to be a foot trip coming? I mean, okay, we can win every single game, 27 games, of course, but that doesn't happen in football, does it? There are highs and lows. You ride that snake of a season. Yep. Are you prepared for that? Yeah,
of course. For us, it was always about building a process and building something that's going to be sustainable for the long term. I think that's been proven in how we've recruited the staff, succession planning, how we've recruited the players, the age. Across the group, the average age of the squad. So for us, we were always wanted to build a football club that was here for long-term, sustainable success. So we know there's going to be ups and downs. Everyone's on the journey. But for us, it's about not getting too carried away when things are going well. And likewise, when we do have a little speed bump on the road, we know we've got the right process, we've got the right people to get us back on track.
Should that have been a red card for Alex Rufer? I think in any other football league, I can't see how it's not a yellow card. I really like Alex. It's nothing against him. Yeah. But when you're hacking at a guy on the ground like that, I mean, referee, what are you doing?
Yeah, I agree with you. I even spoke to Alex after the game. I thought he should have been sent off as well. But, the VAR's there for a reason. They obviously checked it. And I've seen softer ones given before red cards.
They let a bit go in the A-League, though. We know that, don't they? They let a bit go.
I think especially derby games, I think they probably let more go than the normal games. But it definitely should have been a red card for me.
Just in terms of the derby, I mean, how important is it to get 2 over them? Because I want to ask you about Chiefy's comments about an easy draw. I mean, it's not an easy draw when you get to play. But when you get to play, and this is a real rivalry now. How important for you that 2 wins out of 2 against that mob down the road?
Oh, look, for us it was, I don't want to go down the track of being too vanilla or too cliche, but, we want to win every game. We approach every opponent in the same way. The coaches do a fantastic job in analysing the opposition and reviewing and where we can win the game. Obviously, as a new club coming in, Wellington's been the only professional club in New Zealand for a long time.
And they've done a brilliant job.
Fantastic job. Yeah. And like you said at the start of the show, Marty, to have 26,000 people at a stadium, and we went as a staff for dinner after the game, and we're sitting in a restaurant, and there was guys coming into the restaurant with
brilliant. With kid on?
Like one guy had a Guillermo May number 10 shirt on, and we sort of sat back and said, well, you've got a guy from Auckland walking into a restaurant in Auckland with an Auckland FC shirt on with a Uruguayan player's name on his back.
Yeah, that's good. That's
which
brilliant, isn't it?
10 months ago didn't exist.
No.
So it's a unbelievable testament to Nick Becker and the team off the pitch that have created this. For us as a football department, we just have to make sure that we've got the right process in place to keep winning.
Can I give a big shout out and a round of applause too? It's to the people that come and pays their ticket prices,
Yes.
that actually turn up, bring the kids, that are down the slides, buying the hot dogs, buying the chips, buying those tickets, sitting in the stands, and that. It's something that, when you're coaching, obviously you got your focus on that. But do you give yourself a time to breathe at any stage and look around you and go, man, this is New Zealand. We're just a fledgling club. We've started. Look at this thing here.
Actually, I did before the game. In the derby the other day, actually. Normally I sort of just focus and start thinking about the game, but I did have a good look around the stadium, and it was really a really spectacular view. I thought it was amazing. They've really got behind us, and we really appreciate everything that they've done for us. They are the 12th man as well, the Port. We've said that, and we've scored a lot of goals up that end, and they really bring us home.
So when Chiefy said you had an easy draw, was that just him poking one and you poking one back?
Well, it was more about a few of the other comments that he made, not so much the easy draw. I think, at some stage, we're going to play away from home, which we will in January. We've had four home games out of 6. You still have to win them. It's not that easy.
And I'm not sure that you did the draw, or was it handed to you? I think.
Exactly right. So I definitely had no part in the draw, but. I sometimes think playing home as well, there's more pressure on you. So you really want to win your home games as much as possible, especially for us. We've got a lot of travel, and I think Chiefy knows that as well. So at some stage we'll go over to Australia, and we have already once, and we've got a win over there, and we've got to do it again this time. We're in Melbourne against Melbourne City this weekend.
Tough game, yeah. The reaction that you've had from your Australian mates, those that involved in clubs over there, and that, what has it been? Because there's going to be a love affair for a little while. But as you keep winning and being more successful, all of a sudden it's like, hang on a second, we invited you for Christmas. We didn't expect you to take the toys back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, look, it's been fantastic. I had some friends came across from Melbourne on the weekend, and Stevie said he had a look around the stadium before the game, and these are ex-players. They played in England. They live in Melbourne now, as I said, but they actually sat and looked around the stadium. They said, "This is unbelievable. Like, you've got 26,000 people in the stadium." Like, a supporter group that are unbelievable in the Port that didn't exist 10 months ago. They've got chants, they've got songs, they're together, they're united behind the team, and then you've got a kids' playground behind one goal.
Yes,
so it's great. It's got something for everyone.
Yeah, it has,
and we've always said that, Marty, to be honest, from day one, that we wanted to be a football club for the community, from the community, and I think we've demonstrated that in the recruitment of 18 Kiwi boys. So there's a real belief in the club. There's a real community feel that the players are playing for the community. And for me, one of the greatest things is at the end of the game, when the players who are not in the squad, who do the fitness runs at the end of the game.
Yeah, the dirty dirties. Yep.
Yeah, they do the fitness runs at the end of the game. They're there, they're cheering the boys on, they're pushing them home, but they're signing autographs for kids. And these are young boys that, 6-7 months ago they're playing in the NRF. So it's to see the joy in these kids' faces in our young boys, and they know them by name, they know who they are. Like, they're actually creating heroes from the community, and that's the next generation of Auckland FC players.
Look, it's really easy from this side of the microphone as well to start comparing and say, oh, look, rugby needs to do this, or the Warriors do that, or anything. Can't we also have it that all of the sports succeed in this country and they all get big crowds like this? Because what you've actually done, I just think, is actually said, hey, look, if you do it right, if you plan it right, and you create an atmosphere that people do want to come along to, winning always helps, obviously, but there's just something, and I think the word fun is what sprung to mind when I walked in there. There's just something that, it's almost like you're on holiday. You want to enjoy yourself at that game. Yeah,
and I think the next game on the 21st, when we get the beach in behind the goal, that'll be you really feel like you're on holiday then. But you're right. Look, we're a team for Auckland. same as the Warriors and the same as the Breakers and same as
as the Blues.
Same as the Blues. And we want the city to be successful, and if we can bring a little bit of joy to people's lives through football, then we're succeeding.
So the defenders get more laps around the track, do they, this week after that?
No, because we defend as a unit. Starts from the top and all the way the back.
It was a great goal by Costa, by the way. It was brilliant, wasn't it?
It was, just but it was more our fault that we let him in that position. But Costa's a great player. He was, the one we spoke about probably the most about Wellington. He's a real threat.
He ran his nuts off in that game, mate.
Yeah, he had a great season last year, and he started the same this season. And we've worked with him before at Sydney as well. He's a good guy, and he's doing really well.
When you've won titles and all of that kind of stuff, the fire obviously still burns. Where does that come from? Do you think that the challenge of a brand new club, was that kind of lit something else in you this year?
I think I'm always like this, but when you stay at a club for 19 years, I think you do get a little bit of stale. I probably needed a change, and this was a perfect challenge for us. Starting a new team, different country as well, really for me. Something fresh, exciting. Obviously, speaking to the owner, Bill Foley, was a big factor in me coming here as well. Mm-hmm. So, obviously very pleased to have come here. There's still got challenges. My family's still in Australia, so, that's difficult at times, but they get over it as much as they can. And obviously we're going back to Australia hopefully every second week soon.
Yes.
Chiefy does it well.
Chiefy obviously doesn't know that, but there's hurdles along the way, and there will be more, I'm sure, but it's been really pleasing at the moment.
Terry, the talk of moving this stadium or building another stadium at Western Springs, look, I've been in Auckland for the best part of a quarter of a century, and we've been talking about a new stadium all over the place ever since then. Your thoughts on it, and is it a good idea reducing the capacity for a start? If you're getting 26,000, you don't want to go less than that, do you?
Look, I think it's testament really to what Stevie said about the owner, Bill Foley, and Ali Williams, and Anna Mowbray, and Tim Brown, and Winston Reid, and the whole ownership group, Noah Hickey, that they've got that ambition and they've got that desire to do that, to build a stadium, build a high-performance centre, and give the football department, the football club, everything we need for success. 26,000 on the weekend was unbelievable as a derby. Where we end up as an average across the season will be interesting.
Mm-hmm. I've been impressed with the other crowds. I think they were 15 and 13, which is
fantastic,
solid as hell, man. Really good.
Yeah. Fantastic. But I think if the one thing from our experience in the A-League is if you've got a boutique stadium where it's full every week, the atmosphere it creates and generates for the players.
Yeah, not only that, then you get that, I'm missing out on a ticket, then I want a ticket kind of thing.
100%. And I think to have everything in one location, the stadium, the training facility, high-performance centre, the administration staff, the football department, everyone together, it really creates that culture of togetherness right across the whole club.
How do we improve upon what's been done so far? I mean, just as a coach, your view on this is different from the commercial side of it and the engagement side of it and everything else. How do you improve now from where you are 6 out of 6?
It's like you said, it's only just started. It's about showing consistency throughout the whole season. I think we've surprised a lot of people so far, but at the end of the day, we want to finish on top. We want to be the obviously first club to win trophy in New Zealand. So the Premiership, there's the grand final. We set our sights high from the start. Mm-hmm. We spoke to the players about this, and I think by starting the way we have, there's now that belief that we can do it, and it's about remaining focused. We reset, every 2 or 3 weeks just to make sure we keep their feet on the ground. Just stay humble, keep doing what we're doing, and keep working hard.
Leave us with a message for those, as I say, the faithful who are coming along, who are watching on the telly, and those that can't actually get to the ground, but those that get to the ground as well. What's your message for everyone?
No, look, first and foremost, just as I said before, and it's been a constant message from the club that we want to be a team for the community, from the community. So the community engagement piece for us was so important. Like I said, Nick and the team have been out at clubs and schools and right throughout the whole community. Steve, myself, and Doug Coors, who's our head of recruitment, was at 3-4 games every weekend for the first 6 months before we brought the players in. I just want to say thank you to everyone who keeps turning up week in, week out, everyone who buys the jerseys, everyone who supports us on socials, everyone. And we want to create something that's an extension of people's lifestyle, so that, you know, when you're doing your family budget and you've got your bills and you set some money aside to go and watch Auckland FC. And
yeah, it's a fantastic day out, people, I'm telling you.
The experience that's there for the kids, for the teenagers, for the adults, there's something for everyone. And it's a journey we're all on together, you know. And we've brought 5 players from Europe, from overseas, South America and Europe and Asia. We've got the Kiwi boys, we've got 3 from Australia. So we're all in this together. We're all in a journey. And, you know, as Steve said, we want to be the first New Zealand team to win the A-League and create history.
Might upset if you're down in Wellington. I bet you never get tired of the chant from the side, mate. We are top of the league.
Yeah, I love that one.
You love that one?
That's my favourite.
Gentlemen, all the very best. It's been a fantastic start, but let's put a full stop right there, because that's all it's been so far, right?
Correct. Yeah.
All the very best for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moan. I'm moaning all the time.
Oh, it's Monday. You know I've got a moan on. In fact, a boo on. Boo! Boo! Is it okay to boo at sports events? Hell yes it is. Boo away, you booers. Boo more if you feel like it. There's so much hand-wringing about this. Unnecessary interference from a whole lot of well-meaning but also seriously deluded people who sit around meeting rooms making policy about stuff they know squat all about. And in the most part have never been to a game, never go to any game, so simply don't understand why people do it and how insignificant it actually is anyway. At the AFC Phoenix derby on Saturday night, fans at times booed. So effing what? If people in the crowd want to boo, let them. They pays their money, they're free to express themselves within reason, and we're all educated enough to know what that actual bit there means. They can do what they want, how they wish within reason. We all know what reason means. Did the booing affect either team's performance? No. Did it help in any way create an atmosphere that advantaged either side? Probably not. Did it put any of the players off? No. Was it disrespectful towards any of the players? I didn't think so. And are you or me ever going to stop anyone else doing it anyway just because we or the fish heads with nothing better to do might not like it? No. It's just booing. You do it, good for you. You don't like it? Boo bloody who? I'm bitter and twisted. I'm warped and demented. We win the toss on a pitch that looks like a billiard table. We have 4 seamers. It's at home, the Basin Reserve. We're coming off a historic series win against India. And we lay another turd like that. Getting beaten inside 3 days is shameful. Rahul Patil was at the Basin Reserve for us. Mate, we both watched a lot of really bad cricket from the Black Caps, our men's national team, over the years. That defeat has got to be as ugly as any ever. You agree?
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And it makes it worse when it comes at home. You know, we've seen such defeats when New Zealand travels overseas. We go to Sri Lanka, we go to India, but we almost have that feeling that, yeah, that's fine, we accept that. But when we come back home and we get decimated, annihilated by a team within 3 days and some, it's just not unacceptable. And look, yeah, we did win the toss and we did bowl well to start off with. But remember, at Christchurch, they were 71 for 4 and they got to 499.
That's right.
At the Basin, they were 43 for 4 and we let them get to 280 because once again, Ollie Pope and Harry Brook took charge and we had no answers for them.
The bowling,
2 matches in a row now, we've let...
The bowling is wayward. You know, when you're conceding 5 runs and over in a test match, that's fine for T20, but it's not for test cricket. We'll get back to that, though. I want to talk about the batting, which was limp, it was soft, and we were communicating through this test match. Look, their bowling is good, but it is not so unplayable. We're just going out to soft dismissals. You know, no concentration, no application, no one digging in. Why not?
Look, I've watched this team for the last 3 years, and I know they're better than this. But it comes back to that fact that I stated right at the start of this series, that we are getting caught up in this whole baseball theory of playing the game quick, and we're getting caught up by trying to match them pace for pace. You know, this game's finished with 2 days and change left. What was the hurry? The worst thing I saw, and look, I love Rachin to bits, but yesterday at the basin, it had started drizzling. Lunch was 5 minutes down the line, and he has a waft at one outside the off stump. It's just, you cannot have excuses for this. This is just plain poor cricket. And I know you love your stats, Marty, so I've got a stat for you.
On.
In the first innings, New Zealand batted for 34.5 overs, and in the second innings, they lasted 54.2.
Yeah.
That's a total of 89.1 overs across both innings, which is less, 5 balls less
than a day,
than the entire day's play.
Hmm.
I'm sorry, but you cannot win Test cricket like this. Test cricket will show you no mercy if you don't have the technique or the temperament for it.
But this is home conditions against a good, but it's not an outstanding England side, but we're making them look like they're world beaters.
Yeah, and I did ask Gus Atkinson at the press conference, and I said to him, what do you think is the difference between the bowling attacks? Why? Because remember, I was the one who said, I don't think this attack is good enough to pick up 20 wickets. So I asked him.
They've had 40 in the last 2 tests, mate.
Yeah, and I asked him, and I said, what do you think is the difference between? And he just put it down to, he said, the way our batters are putting pressure on the New Zealanders, that is creating the collapses that New Zealand is having, because they've got no answers for our batters. And once we pile on the runs and play the game at the pace that which we play, he said New Zealand have fallen short. Now that tells me that Brendan McCullum and Ben Stokes have actually outthought, Tom Latham and Gary Stead in planning. They came here with a plan. They're executing brilliantly. We are just going with the motions and thinking, oh, we'll try this, or maybe I'll try that.
Yeah, and if it doesn't work, there's no consequence, because I'm still getting paid. I'm still staying in the 5-star hotel. I'm still living in luxury. I'm still going to get picked for the next game. Okay, here's a couple of really fundamental things about Test cricket. Bowling, tie up an end, frustrate the batsman. You don't have to be going for the middle stump ball every time you bowl. One guy up the other end frustrates, and so that then the batsman has to start. I mean, we're not even doing that. When it comes to batting, what about some guy blunting the ball, just being a wall, standing out there and batting for a couple of sessions to get them tired? We're not even doing that. We're playing Test cricket like we think it's a T20 match.
Yeah, you made a good point about Tom Latham's century. He scored 115 of 102 balls.
Blundell,
but
sorry.
What I would have, Tom Blundell. And what I would have liked to see, though, is Tom Blundell scoring 50 of 250 balls and actually taking this game into the fourth day.
That would have been heroic.
And I know
heroic if he'd done that.
That would have really made me happy to see that fight, to see that application, to see that temperament, and to see that doggedness that you need in international sport. Yes, as you said, he scored 115 and he played well. He was dropped on 0, but he played well after that, made his own luck. And he's booked his ticket now, not just for the next test, but probably for the next 10 tests that New Zealand plays.
Now, look,
and the other question.
Sorry, keep going.
And the other question I have is, when did our batting stocks become so rich that we can actually afford to bench a man of the series from the last test series that we played in India for 2 consecutive test matches? Now, we've had failures in Christchurch, and that should have taught us something, and we should have picked Will Young.
That's called consequence.
But we don't.
Yeah, you fail, you lose your place, and then you have to fight to get it back. And maybe a guy like Devon Conway needs to go back to domestic 4-day cricket. Look, Craig Cumming did a brilliant thing for us last week. I don't know whether you've seen it. It's on our YouTube channel, the DSPN.
Yes.
He broke down the failing technique of Devon Conway at test level. Now, Conway's a brilliant white ball batsman. We know that he's got $1 million contract at the IPL, but something is really wrong with his technique. His weight is all wrong. His feet are all wrong. And look, if Craig Cumming can sit there, as great a coach as he is, but he can pick this, why aren't the myriad of New Zealand coaches and experts helping this team able to sort that out? But Conway will play again in Hamilton. We know this. It's the same as Southee. I mean, again, look, just because you have a great career, it doesn't mean that you have to get the farewell tour. This guy does not deserve his place in the team at the moment on merit. But again, he'll get picked. It's so frustrating.
I agree. And I texted you yesterday and I said, sometimes I feel, international sport requires a bit of mongrel in you. You need to have difficult conversations and you need to tell players, show them the mirror. That is the job of the captain and the coach, is to show the team a mirror and say, ask all of them and say, guys, do you think that what we dished out in Christchurch and at the Basin is a true reflection of what a New Zealand national cricket team should be dishing out? And I wonder if anybody has these conversations. And for all they might be, but we don't know because we never get told anything that happens.
No, what we get told is,
inside the closed
we'll
doors.
take the learnings and we'll move on to the next one. Well, before you move on to the next one, some of us are going to sulk for a little bit because it's embarrassing watching you play and it's really disappointing. And look, I don't want that Indian series to be an outlier. It's not a fluke. I've mistakenly over a couple of social medias, I was angry yesterday. I labelled it, it's not a fluke. You don't win 3 test matches by fluke. But what it is it's like Greece winning the Euro 2004 football championships. It all came together at the right time. That's brilliant. You've always got that. But you also need to go on from that. You can't keep looking at that. It's like the White Ferns. They've been rubbish all year. They win the T20 World Cup. That's fantastic. I'm delighted for you. But you can't hang your hat on that for the next 12 months. You've got to actually win the next game and the one after that. That's what champion teams do. And at the moment, we're getting pantsed. And it's not good enough, mate.
Yep. And you're right, that euphoria that was created in this country. Look, as long-time black cap supporters and tragics of New Zealand cricket, it is difficult. How do you get behind a team that is so inconsistent? We know they can play well, as we saw in India, but they need to find some sort of medicine to get rid of this disease called inconsistency, which is
complacency.
Them.
I call it complacency is what it is. And it's complacency by the fact that there is no jeopardy, that there is no consequence to you not playing well. Every other job in the world, if you don't perform, there's a consequence, apart from this.
And the best excuse that we get given is that our pool of players is very low. Well, if your pool of players is so low, how come you have the audacity to keep Will Young out? He was man of the series, literally the best batter in your 11 in India when you won your most historic series ever. And you benched him for the last 2 games. So, yeah, I just can't get my head around a lot of things at the moment.
DSPN, the Tide 5.
5 separate sporting topics then, Lachlan, roughly a minute or so, or 90 seconds on each. When the bell goes ding, we move on to the next topic. Bit of a sore throat, bit of a lost voice after yelling and screaming at Go Media Mount Smart Stadium. What an Atmos. AFC versus the Knicks on the weekend. Chris Wood, we're going to talk about the all-time leading goal scorer in the Premier League for Nottingham Forest. Wow, just repeat that out loud a few times. F1, McLaren win the Constructors' Championship. Jordie Barrett debuts at Leicester, scores a try. India get pantsed by Australia. And do we have to talk about the Basin? No, we won't talk about the Basin Reserve because we've already talked about that a lot. Let us start, though, with Saturday, late afternoon and night at Mount Smart Stadium. A record crowd for a domestic football match in this country, club football, that isn't a playoff match. And, you cannot recreate or duplicate that kind of atmosphere. The rowdiness, the singing, the la-la, adults behaving like pork chops. That was a real football atmosphere. That was, look, I've been to football in England, I've been to football in Europe, I haven't been to South America yet, but that was as good as anywhere that I've been. That was noisy and jumping and just, that was fun, man.
So that was as good as a Premier League fixture you've
Well,
been to?
I mean, I don't think you can compare them because the Premier League's got 100 and something, years of history and everything. But it was as good as anything I've experienced in New Zealand. Look, that was as good as being on the bank at the Basin in the most raucous nutcase days of that. That is what sport is meant to be. I'm not even talking about the game. I'm just talking about going and really enjoying yourself at a game of sport, cutting loose.
Yeah.
And look, rugby can try as it might, but you're never going to get people to behave like that at a game of rugby.
No, I think you can.
Well,
I think you can.
hope so.
I don't think
so.
we came away from, because I was at the game as well, I don't think we came away from that game having had so much fun purely because it was football over rugby.
But what was it? Why do people behave like that at a football game and not at any other sport in New Zealand?
I think if you had a Super Rugby fixture between the Blues and the Hurricanes, maybe not Eden Park, maybe at a smaller stadium, not saying Mount Smart, but hypothetically, let's say there's a new stadium in Auckland that houses 20,000 people or 25,000. On a lovely afternoon, sunny afternoon, on a Saturday or a Sunday like that, you've got families, you've got slides down in an embankment, you've got food trucks, all that sort of stuff. Yes, you can recreate
it well.
Because one of the best things that was done in provincial rugby, not Super Rugby, but provincial rugby, was Bay of Plenty. Now, they didn't have a choice, I don't think, but Bay of Plenty going to the Tauranga Domain.
Yes, it was.
That was great.
Yeah, brilliant.
And then other NPC sides have gone to smaller grounds as well.
This is what the NPC should do. Maybe the NPC needs to start thinking about playing the games at schools, like in Auckland. having
Yeah,
Auckland playing
Grammar.
at Auckland Grammar, and then Mount Albert, and then Sacred Heart, and then out at St Kitts, that kind of thing. But, we're not comparing, and I'm not down on rugby at all, but I'm just saying that create that kind of atmosphere and get people along to have fun at the goddamn...
There's a recipe, rugby. You should be giving out the recipes. You should be running the restaurant, for goodness sake. You shouldn't be taking notes off other people. But there you go. Look what just happened on Saturday afternoon.
Chris Wood, Nottingham Forest leading Premier League goal scorer now. He stands alone. Look, it was a wonky, wobbly old header that should have been cleared off the line, but hey, it ends up in the back of the onion, and that's all that counts. Congratulations to him. I mean, losing at home to Forest after it had been 30 years at Old Trafford. I didn't even feel as sour about it because it was him that got the third goal. It's just, look, we keep talking about this with Ryan Nelson on the program last week talking about that. It's just remarkable, isn't it? I don't know what else to say about him. Get to 100 Premier League goals, mate.
How far off is he now?
I think he's got about 22 to go, 21, 22 to go, something like that.
Will he get there? Well, how many?
Not this season he won't, but another couple of seasons.
No, of course not. But he's got, is it 8 seasons now of scoring double-digit goals in the Premier League?
Well, no, because if you do the math, not quite 8. It must be 7, because he's got 78 goals, and 8 seasons would be 80 goals.
Oh,
so
cool.
figure
My
it out.
apologies, 7. So okay, there you go, 7. But no, it's incredible, and the thing about Chris Wood that I find the most incredible aspect of it all, I mean, getting over there, being a Kiwi and doing this was great, but it's the fact that he seemingly fell out of favour, was doing well at Burnley. They shifted him on to Newcastle.
Yep.
Who didn't really want him. That was just kind of a move they made.
They never played him,
and then he was loaned out to Forest. Well, it felt like that. Okay, that was the end of it. He'll go down to a championship side eventually, or maybe even come back to New Zealand. Who knows? But he's kind of had a second wind at Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Look, he's fit. He's strong. He actually has got, he's got a hell of a lot of luck in that he doesn't get injured that often. Touch wood for him, but he doesn't get injured that often. And he puts himself in positions to score goals like he did on the weekend. I think, look, he needs probably 2 more seasons. He's not a 20-goal a season man, but he's a good, this year, 10 to 15, something like that, which is every club in the league wants that guy to score 10 to 15.
You guys want that.
Well, that's what
you don't even have that.
No, we don't even have that.
Isn't that the best thing about it all, that he does it on the road at Old Trafford against a really sad and sorry Manchester United team? Oh, no, that's right. They're your team.
I'm struggling with that. But Formula One, Abu Dhabi, Liam Lawson didn't finish the race. Norris won it. But I think most attention is on McLaren winning that Constructors' Championship. That's a big deal, isn't it?
Well, they haven't won the Constructors' title since 1998.
Okay, that is a big deal.
Now, I think McLaren won it in 2007, but they were stripped of it, or they were in the running for it, but they were stripped of it because of some spying scandal with Ferrari. But this is a team that really have fell way out of favour, were never competitive from about really when Lewis Hamilton left from 2014 right up until a couple of years ago, and they've sort of rebuilt themselves, so they've done pretty well.
Yeah.
And it increases the funding. Obviously, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer in Formula One.
But it's what's needed. I mean, with the dominance of Red Bull, and Max Verstappen, take him aside from it, you need competition in any competition, and this is the best thing that could have happened.
You will have every 7 or 8 years, you'll have one season where 3 or 4 drivers, or maybe two to 3 teams, are actually competing for drivers and constructors titles, and that is shoved in between 2 different teams having dominant periods. Formula One has been this for so long. 2007, you had 1 point between the top 3 drivers. In 2010, you had 4 drivers going into the final race who mathematically could have won it. You had 2021, where Lewis and Max went down to the final lap. This year was less competitive, so maybe we have another competitive type next season. But this is what happens in Formula One. And then what happens? The fans get excited. People go, it's actually such a great sport. It's competitive. It's back. Oh, here we go. Oh, that's right. Okay, it's now McLaren's turn to dominate. Oh, okay. That's what happens.
Jordie Barrett debuts for Leinster, and scores a try. They had Sneyman and him on the bench. Good God, they've got their team is an international rugby side. You know how we used to say in the Auckland team or the Blues team or whoever it was, or the Crusaders that were dominating Super Rugby, that team could play international rugby.
Yeah,
that's now Leinster. That is an international rugby side they've got there. And how long before Jordie Barrett is wearing a green jersey in the Six Nations?
Well, yeah, now he's qualified, right? He's played a game for Leinster, now he can play for Ireland. That's kind of how it works.
I think that's how it works, isn't it? We're allowed to be a bit cynical about this, Irish rugby fans, because we can.
Well,
it's the truth, mate.
Their best midfielder is a Kiwi.
Well, the midfielders are now Kiwis.
He didn't even go to school. Yeah, he didn't even go to school over there. At least when we steal someone over here from one of the Pacific Islands, I think they tend to go to high school here at least, or I don't know. Point is, while Leinster are a good side, I'm not going to act like I know a huge amount about it because I don't really watch them. So are they an international side? I don't really know.
Well, look at this name stacked on their team sheet, mate.
Yeah, and then that supposedly has a flow-on effect for the international game, but we just beat Ireland and England in their own backyard, so I'm never really going to... And we should have beaten France. I know we didn't. We should have beaten them. So I'm not going to get too carried away with how good their club teams are. But for Jordie Barrett, got on him. Try on debut. Really good.
Yep, obviously over that injury too. Do we get him back for the All Blacks next year? Yes.
I think we do.
We do?
Yeah, I think we do. I think he's in a... But he'll miss Super Rugby.
Yeah, this is called a sabbatical. Finally...
You hate the sabbatical.
Look, you know, as pathetic and pitiful as the Black Caps are at the moment, all I was hoping over the weekend for the cricket was that at least Australia would get turned over and that would make us all feel better. But instead, what do? Pink ball test. They come out. Mitchell Starc gets his best figures. Yeah. And then Pat Cummins, solar panel Pat, gets 5 wickets. They had Boland in there because they had no Hazelwood. I thought their attack was weak. This is the best and the worst thing about the Australian cricket team is when they're down, you've just got to give them such a kicking because you know that the moment you stop, they're going to wriggle away and they're going to bounce back up again. And that's exactly
what they did. Yeah. And India would have known after the very first ball on day one when Starc gets a wicket. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
You just had that feeling, didn't you?
They've turned up.
Okay.
You're screwed at that point.
Yeah.
Dominant.
Okay, so there's now, it's a best of 3 now.
I love it.
It's a fantastic series.
Because you hate the Australians.
Pretty
much every Kiwi probably hates the Australians. No, I was at a pub on Friday afternoon.
I hate their cricket team, mate.
I caught up with a couple of mates on Friday afternoon, and we all agreed in unison that, no, we want Australia to win.
What?
Now, I can't remember what their reasoning was, but my reasoning was...
At cricket?
I've said this last week.
It's like I'm wanting England to win a rugby, mate. No, you can't say that out loud.
But isn't there something attractive about a team...
Zero.
...who aren't very nice? They've got a bit of sledging, a bit of jip about them on the field or on the pitch or whatever. But when they play, they go out there and they smack hard. As
opposed to get smacked hard. That's our podcast and show for today. Again, if you're liking what you're listening and what you're seeing, then a small favour, if you will. Can you please hit like, share, subscribe, follow, tell a friend about it. We are a fledgling podcast and show, the DSPN, and we need you. And if you are participating, well, just click that subscribe button. That would help enormously. Thank you so much if you already have. Again, tell a friend if you like. We're doing this every single day, putting out a show every afternoon. The DSPN.
This is the DSPN.